You know, fine-tuning your own AI used to be something that only giant tech companies with huge budgets could even dream of. But today, we're going to see how that's completely changed. We're diving into how you can train a custom language model way faster, way cheaper, and with a lot less hassle than you probably ever thought possible.
So, does this sound familiar? You've got this amazing idea for a specialized AI, right? But then you start thinking about the hardware, the complexity, the sheer cost of it all, and it just feels completely out of reach. For most of us, that's always been a hard stop.
Well, guess what? Things are changing, and fast. The old way meant you were stuck slogging through incredibly slow training times. You needed a massive amount of VRAM, and basically, you needed a supercomputer in your basement. But the new way? Oh, we're talking lightning fast training, using just a fraction of the memory and running it all on affordable cloud GPUs you can rent by the hour. For years, developers and hobbyists have been staring at what you could call the AI training wall. It's this huge barrier built from sky-high costs and mind-numbing complexity that's kept so many incredible ideas locked away. It really has limited innovation for almost everyone. But what if we could just tear that wall down? This is where our solution comes into play. There are two key tools that are completely changing the game here. Unsloth, which is a brilliant optimization library, and Hugging Face Jobs, a platform for running training on cloud GPUs. And let me tell you, together, they create this powerful, super affordable pathway for building your own custom AI. So let's start with speed, and I mean real speed. Unsloth can train your models up to 2 times faster than the standard methods. It does this by using some really clever coding tricks that make your GPU work smarter, not just harder. And what does that mean for you? Less waiting around and way more time to actually iterate on your ideas. Okay, next up is memory savings. Unsloth literally slashes VRAM usage by about 60%. Now, this is a huge deal. Why? Because lower memory requirements mean you don't need the most expensive, top-of-the-line GPUs anymore. All of a sudden, a much wider range of affordable hardware becomes a totally viable option.
And this right here, this is the ultimate payoff. When you combine double the speed with a massive drop in memory needs, the cost just plummets. We're not talking about fine-tuning a model for thousands or even hundreds of dollars. We're talking about doing it for just a few bucks. Seriously.
Now, to really maximize these cost savings, you don't actually need some 70 billion parameter monster model. The smartest strategy a lot of the time is to start with a smaller, highly efficient model. A perfect example is something like Liquid AI's LFM 2.5 1.2b instruct model, which really punches way above its weight for its size. Look, smaller models aren't some kind of compromise. They're a strategic choice. They are way cheaper to train, which lets you experiment and iterate like crazy. And for specific focused tasks, they can be just as good, if not better, than the larger models. Best of all, a compact model like this runs in under a gigabyte of memory. That means it can be deployed directly on devices like phones and laptops. That's a game changer.
Okay, you're probably thinking, it's cheap, but is it easy? Well, this is where it gets even better. You don't need to be some command line wizard to do this. You can kick off the entire training process just by talking to an AI assistant, using something called a coding agent.
So what in the world are coding agents? It's really simple. Just think of them as your personal AI project manager. You describe your goal in plain English, like you're just talking to a coworker, and the agent translates that into all the necessary code, sets up the environment, and runs the whole job for you. The whole process really just breaks down into 3 super straightforward steps. First, you install the Hugging Face skill into your agent. Second, you write a simple prompt telling it which model and which dataset you want to use. And third, you just click the link it gives you to monitor the training job live. That's it. That's the whole thing. And when I say a simple prompt, I really mean it. Just look at this. This is a real-world example of a command you'd give the agent. You're just telling it what to do. You specify the dataset, and, this is the crucial part, you mention using Unsloth to unlock all those speed and memory benefits. It's incredibly direct. All right, so now it's your turn to build. We've established that this is fast, it's affordable, and it's surprisingly easy. So let's dive into the specific tools, the costs, and the tips you need to start building your first custom model like today.
And here is the proof in the pudding. This table from Hugging Face Jobs shows you the approximate cost per hour. And just look at that top line. Training a model with under 1 billion parameters can cost as little as 40 cents an hour. 40 cents! Even a much larger 13 billion parameter model is only a few bucks an hour. This is what accessibility looks like. Now, to make sure your first training run is a total success, here are a few pro tips. Be really specific with your model and dataset names. Always remember to add using Unsloth. You can also ask the agent for a cost estimate right up front and tell it to set up real-time monitoring so you can actually watch your model learn. And, just to remove that very last barrier to entry, the cost, the team behind all this is actually giving away free credits to get people started. All you have to do is join the Unsloth Jobs Explorers organization on Hugging Face, and you'll get credits to run your first training job completely free. No catch.
So there you have it. The tools are here. They're more powerful and easier to use than ever before. The cost has been reduced to practically zero to get started. The only barrier left is your own imagination. So the real question now is, what will you build first?